Okay, so today what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you guys a rundown on 3 different turbos. I'm going to give you my honest review. This is an unbiased opinion. You guys can think whichever one you want is the best one. This is just me sharing my personal experiences and my view on which ones I think is best for, what you want to do with it. I'll start out with the stock one, which is this guy down here on the end. So this is a 2005 stock turbo for a 2004 or 5. I'm sorry, 2005 to 2007 turbo. This is not the 10 blade. This is the quieter version of the 6.0 turbos. This one has about 150,000 miles on it. It went through stock injectors and went through 190/75 injectors. And 190/75 injectors, it'll work, don't get me wrong, but you are going to waste that turbo really, really fast. Especially once you start getting up into higher boost pressure. Because those 190/75s push a lot of fuel. Don't get me wrong, they spool very fast with with those injectors in them, but it's not enough on the high end. It never stop smoking. So what we're gonna do is right now I'm just gonna compare to you. I'll show you this 150,000 mile turbo. In here, there's really not a lot of play, actually, believe it or not. Very minimal, pretty nice. It's a factory turbo. You get what you get. Decent. They're meant to be on there for quite a while and last. I'm going to pull this cover off, give you an idea of what's on the inside. So that way we can compare it to the line. Now keep in mind this turbo is a bad example because this turbo was sitting on my shelf for the last couple months. So this is how the inside of this, the housing cover looks. We'll set that over there for right now. This is about the size of the wheel, if you want to put that in perspective. I have relatively small hands, so anyway. That's that. There's quite a bit of oil in here. Then if you also notice the height on these and the placement compared to this, wheel, I'll show you on the other one. These fins are a little weird. You got one tall one, one short one tall one short one. Really not a lot of craftsmanship into that, to tell you the truth. At least in my personal opinion. Next, we're going to move on to this thing. This is a KC Stage 2 do-it-yourself kit. By do-it-yourself kit, it means you have basically this other turbo over here, the exhaust side. Anyway, you split this turbo dead center. Well, not dead center. Anyway, what you get is from here over. So you get the plate, this piece right here. Can't see it. This piece right here and the housing, as well as this wheel. Not this specific wheel, the one that's in this turbo. So that's what they give you. Kit's, I'll say, fairly cheap compared to some of the other parts that I've purchased in the past. Pretty sure this thing was like 650 bucks for the 2 of them. Might have been 550. Anyway, long story short, this is a freshly rebuilt one. It's been rebuilt twice already. I've only had this on my 190/75 setup, and first time I had it, put it all together with new bearings, blah blah blah. I got a new exhaust housing, or I'm sorry, new exhaust wheel and a shaft. I did it the correct way the first time. I sent it out to get balanced. I had it for maybe 5,000 miles, and I started getting a screech, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound too healthy. So I took it back apart, found this cover was all ground up, so I was like, oh, okay, that's not a plus. So I caught it early, I was in luck. It didn't damage the housing, but it did fuck the wheel up a little bit. So, that's KC, bought another wheel, bought new bearings, put it all back together. This time I didn't balance it. It's kind of over it at this point. I just needed it for a dyno event, like immediately. Put the I put it all back together. The new wheel, new bearings, whatever else. Made it about, I don't know, 50 feet or so, and it said no. So that was the end of that. Had the same screeching noise, blah blah blah. So I had to get the case cleaned up by a local machine shop, or housing, I apologize. Sent it out, got it all rebuilt. This time I didn't do it, I had somebody else do it for me. Anyway, so this thing got new bearings put in it, new shaft put in it again, because it waffled the shaft that was in there. New wheel, cleaned the housing up, and then a half-ass Walmart paint job. So now that that's all on there, I haven't put this back on the truck since. I had to wait too long, so what I did in the meanwhile was I got this thing. That gorgeous looking freaking turbo right there. This is my personal favorite turbo for a 60. This is TurboTime Performance GX7 Predator. I bought this turbo on a complete whim, to tell you the truth. I really didn't know what to expect. I've never heard of the company before. I kind of just went with it. I googled 60 turbos that can be at my door in 2 days. And this company, I called the guy and I was like, listen, this is what I'm looking for. This is my setup. What do you recommend? He recommended this turbo, which was relatively new. Apparently only a couple of people had it before I did. And I was like, alright, well, I don't really have much time, so let's get it going. Send it over. So they sent it, threw it on the truck. I did a couple of test runs at my house with it, and I was immediately impressed. I was actually more nervous than anything, because now I have 2 days before dyno. Turbo showed up the next day. And I get it all together, and now from my stage 2 that I had on there, the KC, where I was only getting 50, 55 PSI on my race tune, now I'm double that, and I'm at, 7, well, not double, but half of that. I'm, over 60 pounds, and I hit 60 pounds the first run. Next thing I know, poof, the intercooler boots pop off, and mind you, I had BD diesel boots, and they just weren't having it. 60 pounds, that was it, they'd blow off, and I was SOL. So I ended up I called Riff Raff, and I told them, listen, I have 75 pounds that's going through this thing on a stock, or on a single turbo. I really need some good boots, so they sent me what they had, and I've never had a problem since. Anyway, this thing on a race tune with 190 75s, and the tuning also is Warren Diesel. This thing will push about 75 PSI, and it likes it. If I had a bigger injector, I wouldn't doubt if it would do more. I bet you with 205 30s or even 205 75s, this thing would be unreal. But currently, I still have 190 75s. I've been trying to do a lot of housework, so I really just don't have the time to be spending it on, or the time and money to be spending on injectors when I have a perfectly good running truck as it is. This thing, keep your EGCs low. It's awesome. The quality in it is just, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Like, let's just zoom in on this, how pretty that is. I want to get you guys off this stand so that way I can show you some of the markings here. So that is how you know you got the real deal TurboTime on your wheel right there. And then obviously you have the TP cover. Oh, it's so freaking nice. I just can't get over it. Do a little comparison now. these things, this is a velocity stack that they put in there, and it just gives this sound off like no other. It's crazy. You know, this is the rest of the turbo. Nothing that fancy. Still a VGT turbo as well. Give you the TurboTime performance on there as well. This I'll try and get in, but I doubt you can see anything. But overall, just a freaking awesome turbo. I'll try and make this quick so you guys don't have to listen to me anymore. But next video I do for you, I'm going to do a driving video, so that way you can see the difference in the two. I'll suck it up and I'll put the KC back on for a couple minutes. And I'll also mention that this TurboTime Performance GX7 has about 5,000 miles on it now, and all those 5,000 miles have not been easy. You know, I built this truck to run it, so it gets ran pretty good. Pretty freaking hard. Alright, so look at these two. Truthfully, not much of a difference here. You know, your TurboTime one, the hole, you know, center hole's bigger, obviously. There are a few little differences in here, but nothing major. This is a .58 AR as well as this one. Nothing changed there. Give you a close-up difference on these two. These fins are just the thing is huge, number one, for a VGT, and they're just such precision work. I mean, it's so freaking precise. It's perfect. I don't even want to put it back on the truck. It's literally just a piece of art. It's so nice. And then you have this junk stock one, which looks like a high school art project. And you have this one, which is, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. I'm not gonna sit here and bust anyone about quality, except for stock, because life's too short to be stock. So they're just so yeah, that's that. I mean, if you want my honest opinion on what you're going to do with this turbo and which you should go with, if you have a stock truck, stay with a stock turbo. If you intend on doing stuff in the future and you want to build some serious power or just be a really awesome tow rig, I would say go to this one. Go to TurboTime, tell them what you want. Fantastic. If you're 17 and you want to build a truck for next to nothing and you don't really care about rebuilding it 100 times because you want to learn, then get the do-it-yourself kit. Once again, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not trying to make enemies here. I'm just giving you my personal experiences and how I see them. So that's that. So go ahead, head on over to TurboTime USA, get yourself one of these things, or you could pick out any of their other turbos that they have, because I'm sure they're all just as awesome as this thing. And they even sell factory replacement Garrett turbos as well, just like that thing. So even if you want to stay stock and send it like that, then they can help you with that as well. Thanks for watching.